Trigger warning. This episode may contain content that could be distressing to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to New Earth Studios. Love Now by Alex Roseman. We are here in the heart of the wilderness of Dubai. From our beautiful New Earth Cafe, the Conscious Eatery, where we'll be bringing you conscious conversations with our very next guest. Please do your best to click the subscription button so you can see us evolve and grow and ultimately show up in a community near you. Thank you. Where were we? Anthony, welcome to the New Earth Studios, man, and to the New Earth Cafe. It's such a pleasure to have you. Can we turn that light on behind you, Irvin? We just created our own sunshine.
Cool, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. Look, you got such a cool vibe, very chilled, and having your lovely wife on not too long ago, Marjorie, if you check it out. And, you know, recently getting to know you a little bit more and about what you do. We'll go into that, but it's just really great to have you here.
Thank you, man. Great to be here and, sharing the wisdom, or the experience, let's say, because wisdom is a little bit pretentious, but yeah, I think we're in a society where it's difficult sometimes to extract from the noise. And in what I do, we do different things as well on the side, like startup. When I met talented people in my company, encourage them to start their own venture. And we have this, because I'm in Web3, right? So we're trying to carry the world of in different direction with what technology can bring to help humanity to connect better. And we have this guy, they have a company is called SwissBorg, and they are specialized into podcasts.
Okay.
So using Web3 technology to enhance the experience of podcasts. And when we create the company, what we say is, I think podcast is the last form of social media experience that is still authentic, because it's not programmed, right? You sit together. Of course, you can have your planning. We didn't plan anything today, but you can have your planning, and there is no keywords. There is not, of course, when you post your video, your thumbnail, you can optimize for SEO, which is fine, right? Because you need to have audience and view. But the form of dialogue is still very authentic. It's not programmed, right? Where I do a post, I can simulate because I know what the people will like, and I always try to optimize for the algorithm. But in podcast, we have this authenticity, and it's really lacking, I think, in the virtual space. So glad for podcast.
Authenticity has been lacking 100%. So now I'm intrigued about this, nice little way of putting this one in. So how does it work for the podcast? How can we use it, and why have you been keeping it from me?
So it's very young. The idea is when you look at it's funny because last week, the guy that literally created the internet as we use it today was publishing his newsletter because it was the 35 years
Englishman
anniversary.
What?
Yeah.
It was in what did he do it again? It was within Switzerland or something.
Maybe.
To pass information from one place to the next within the company. But anyway.
Most probably. So in this newsletter, where it's the celebration of the 35 years of the creation of the internet, it goes back to the essence of what internet was and what was the dream initially. And he looked at the gap. He said initially the dream was decentralize, help humans to better collaborate with each other, right? So internet starts with scientists saying, if I discover something in Japan, it's very unlikely that this knowledge can travel to the US, for example. But now if you have a mean to communicate, as a result, the discovery that we make is going to be exchanged faster, and the world elevates as a result, because then the collaboration goes faster, and the idea and even the aspiration grow much faster. But the idea was always to keep it very decentralized, very human-centric, community-centric. And the result, 35 years later, is we have big giants dominating the space, dictating what we need to do, because there is no chance if you don't play the game of YouTube that your video will be seen. Because there is algorithm that follows very specific goal, and you have to you're just a slave of that. And what we've seen multiple times, I think Brian Rose is one of the good examples, right? You build your following for years, and all of a sudden, because you discuss a topic that is not compliant.
David Icke.
Yeah, exactly. you're just kicked out, right? And you have no mean to reconnect with your follower. You don't have their email. You don't have anything. So what Web3 brings to the equation is your data are your data. Actually, the people, they follow you and they get engaged with you independently of what the platform is. So if tomorrow you switch because you decide to use another platform, they're going to follow you automatically. It's just by design. There's a bunch of things like this that make it censorship resistant. That's the first step. But as well, there is a way to connect better with your audience because you can measure the identity. Because maybe we're not going to discuss that today, but what the future of the internet as well is now we have AI and we have a lot of bots. So it's almost impossible. You go to a post and you see 1 million likes and comments and you say, oh, this guy is famous. But actually a very little mean to control, is it artificial?
Yeah.
You know? And when we look at the importance of the way we digest news and how we unconsciously weight the accuracy of the information based on social recognition online, there is a real danger because the manipulation of information is real, and it's a race that is not made for human but for bots. So what Web3 creates is alternative to really counter that. And I can say, yeah, I don't have 1,000 likes, but if Alex like my video, it means something, and it means something for the people that trust Alex. So then we go beyond the simple face value of how many likes do you have, but more who likes you and who are the identity. That's
Quality over quantity.
Exactly.
And it sounds like you're empowering people, you know, because you can build all of this up, but you're in somebody else's car. And if you're not in the driving seat, you suddenly realize how powerless you are. And if they want to say you're out, there's nothing you can do about it. And I'm sort of glad that, you know, we've only just started kicking off this new earth and we haven't built it up all the way because it could be taken away like this. And maybe it's the time is coming now because we're having this conversation that, oh, Alex, you know what? Check out this platform. You know, bring the people who are coming on and we can, you know, converse and then they can come over here because ultimately we want to empower people with these new earth ideas that may go against the old earth, you know, paradigm. And if I'm going against them because they see it as a threat, which is, of course, you know, it can look like a threat, they can switch me off. And though that's in the back of my mind, we feel like we've got nowhere else to go anyway. You know, YouTube is the platform, you know, for many people. So to see an alternative is beautiful. I'm sure that will segue into Bitcoin and this whole, you know, cryptocurrency and what that's all about. So as we glide into it, where would you like to go from here? So shall we touch a bit more on this company that you're building?
We can, definitely. I think the most important message maybe that I want to share today is because there is a lot of things that are said about cryptocurrency and arguably even to this day, the number one reason people want to buy or be involved with cryptocurrency is speculation, and it's fine. To be honest, it's completely fine. But there is so much more beyond what the technology and the people in the technology can offer. And I guess we are at the critical moment of humanity because technology accelerates to a point where it's extremely difficult to keep up, right? And we can't really rely on government to control that. It's very difficult, even for themselves. Not going into the debate, are they corrupt or not corrupt, but even if we take the hypothesis that government are actually well-intentioned and they have good guidance, they have good art, I'm not sure they're equipped to keep up with what's going on with technology and how the world evolves. So the only mean is to, I think, trust entrepreneur. And anyway, we live in a society where I think it's an illusion to believe that the most powerful people are presidents. Actually, the Elon Musk, the Mark Zuckerberg, you know, all these figures. They have the knowledge, they have the following, they have immense power over our life, and they have the data, right? So they have the ability to comprehend human beyond what our own comprehension of ourselves is. And I think, in my opinion, and that's why I've been involved with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency since almost 8 years now, is I think the alternative that we have as humanity is to start to build a different paradigm of what Web2 offer with Web3 and start to trust entrepreneur and back them with your money or your time. And there's plenty of things where you can do to support a Web3 entrepreneur because they can create at least a choice for humanity. Because sometimes it feels like, oh no, Instagram is taking my data. I know, they're abusing my time. They give me all this adrenaline rush, and it's very hard to not doing it every day. But I have no other alternative.
The dopamine hits.
Yeah.
Like it's a drug. The likes, the how they get you hooked on. I mean, there's documentaries after documentaries about how it's like crack.
Yeah.
You know, it hooks you in. How does your model then, coming into it, how do we then incorporate, bring people in so they don't chase that feeling, that we're actually bringing in about a more of a quality? Here's your heart chakra.
Thank you.
Time to open that heart even more.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, dude. Thank you. Appreciate it. So that, you know, how do we create something that is, thank you, mate, authentic, like this platform, that it's not about driving to get that dopamine hit?
Yeah, yeah. There's a guy that, as well, is at the very beginning of the internet. It's called Jason Lanier. Literally built the foundation for the World Wide Web back in 1990s. And the guy has written this book that is the 10 reasons why you should delete your social media account right now.
Oh, I think I've seen this guy. Big guy, kind of longish hair, like he looks like he's... Yeah, I know the guy, yeah.
He do TED Talk, so he's very vocal about these things. And I think he says something very fundamental, is it's hard to change the habit of people, right? And we see that every day, right? The temptation is too high, and the social pressure as well not to use the social media is you know, it's either for your work or because of family, girlfriend, whatever. If you're single, I think it's very difficult to manage without it. So it's just conformism, and then you find plenty of excuses not to, you know, to say, oh, I disagree, but I still use it to the extent I want to use it. The problem is the proliferation of this social media and this habit is never stopping. So what the guy is saying, which is very fundamental, is say when we created the internet, we were EPs, tech EPs, and we really wanted to change the world. So we came with this concept of open source. What open source means is software is free, because there is this idea that I build a piece of software and you can use it to, you know, keep the world progressing in the right direction.
Like Java and things like that, right? Open source technology.
That's language. And for instance, when you look at Netflix, right? Netflix, I'm sure we belong to this time where I grew up without the internet, part of my young age, and I go to the cinema. I have to wait, sometimes 3 years. I remember I wanted so bad to see again Jurassic Park, but you have to wait for the VHS to go in the shop, go buy it. So what Netflix has achieved, right, in terms of you don't have to process anything at home, you just click and instantly it's streamed. The quality is amazing. It's the result of open source because someone has developed a piece of software that someone reused and it's piling up, right? So the reason why we have such technological progression is because the exchange of no one has tried to keep it too private, but really the exchange that the next generation of developer can come and use what was built by the previous developer, independently if they belong to the same company. Which was the way before, right? You develop something, you have your IP, and you protect it at all costs. The problem of that is there is not an exponential progression because you're trying to keep your piece of software private. The other problem with open source is it's great from the collaboration perspective and as human progressing. The thing is, then there is no business model. Because it's for free, right? And the developers, they still need to live. They don't do that. There is a part of them that is philanthropic. They still need to pay the bills. So the business model for the internet was ads, because marketing, right? They had to find an alternative because the piece of software is never valued. You will accept that to say, oh, it's a beautiful car, it's a piece of hardware that I'm ready to pay for. But the piece of software and the result of that is every app that you can download in the iPhone most of the time is for free. That is ugly or beautiful, you're going to pay the same price. But this doesn't exist into the hardware world. Beautiful chairs, perfectly designed, is going to cost much more money than a chair that is very basic. Doesn't exist in software, so the guy that developed the internet had to find an alternative solution, and that's the ads model. So what the ads model has created is an attention game. Because initially, internet was built to tell you, you are looking for something very specific. For example, what's the best place in Dubai to have a juice? And you will find instantly New Earth Cafe.
I didn't pay him to do that, by the way.
So that will be the result, and it will be very efficient. Your relationship with the software will be very transactional and mechanical. You want to have, at the quickest path possible, the best answer possible, and that's it. And you want to limit your time as much as possible. If you do that, it can't be for free, because if you do that, you're going to use the machine for 5 minutes. While, if I don't provide you the right answer, but I provide you some sort of best answer that keep you hooked in for 30 minutes, now I have the time to display you as much ads as possible. So the result of Facebook, Instagram, and all the, I mean, to quote few, right? There's many other, Google is the same. They have to design a model that actually keep you hooked as much as possible, because then they can display as much information and ads as possible that they can monetize you. So the result of that is we spend so much more time on the internet, because the incentive model is for you to hook in, to spend as much time as possible, but we completely neglect what the human receive as exchange of value, right? And the result of that is because of the business model, the initial business model that came from a good art, but unfortunately lead to a wrong direction. So the first thing that we need to do to reinvent the way we interact with technology and virtual technology online is to change the business model. The painful part is, and that's what Web3 is doing in some extent, is most probably if you consume information online, if you want to do that in a way that is non-invasive for yourself, you have to pay for it. And if you contribute positively, you need to be rewarded as well. Instagram never give you any money unless you're an influencer. If you, for example, if you post family picture and everyone comes and look at it, and you still positively contribute to it. Yeah.
There's not like a shared essence of wealth.
No.
Because it goes obviously to these companies and makes billions, which they're ultimately leading towards getting your attention any way they can. Just like, it's the same model when people used to make, they still do, crisps and sweets. They have a whole teams of scientists come in the laboratory, how to make it crunchier, how to make it saltier, get the kids in, crunch this, crunch that, and they test it so they get you addicted. And it's all relating to the same thing, pleasure, amygdala, get into that part, get the dopamine hit. Now we're in technology. Okay, so to keep their attention, what do we need to do? Get in the lab, Let's try this. Let's try that. Because everybody ultimately wants your attention, because they know how valuable that is. Because wherever your attention goes, energy flows. And everything's to do with energy. So looking at that, and of course, what is their intention with your attention? And that's what it is. I don't see things as wrong or right. I see as, this is a part of evolution. What are we really evolving towards? Now we're going through technology, and you mentioned it, like the VHS. There was something quite beautiful about waiting. You know, you wait for it, and when you get it, you appreciate it that much more. Now we can have it like this, but also because of that, because we're able to get pretty much everything so quickly, we're getting to that stage of going, well, we're not waiting for that VHS tape. We're not waiting for this anymore. We get to understand truly why we're here, because now we can have everything. Do I feel fulfilled because I can have everything? Well, no. Well, if I can have everything and I'm comfortable and I'm not fulfilled, then what is it truly I'm innately here to do? What am I here really for? Because I can have everything. And that's what I feel like it's exponentially leading us towards. Mm-hmm. The new earth is this, calling to the higher self, the connection to the divine. And all of this stuff, to be comfortable, is to get out of survival mode, out of the amygdala, so that we're here. But now we're here, and we don't need to live there anymore, surviving. Why are we here? What is the purpose of this? What are we leading humanity towards? And you have the Elon Musks, and then you have the government sort of doing their best to keep control of things, to keep things running. They're serving what they're serving. And I had this question pop up. What do you think the difference in mentality is between an entrepreneur and a politician?
It's a very good question. Again, I'm talking about what's the picture now, because I don't think it has always been the case. I think, again, it's what the result of everything comes and goes anyway. We have to accept cycles, and that's why words sometimes are very, how can I say, they are very misleading. because they don't account for the evolution of what something is. And it always go through cycles, and it needs to reinvent itself. But the word stays the same, right? So when we say president, most probably 100 years ago, even to the people, it doesn't mean the same thing as it does today, right? And what I see I'm French, right? So
you're allowed here. It's fine.
and we have a very, dynamic political scene in France. And
Yes, you're vocal.
yeah, we're very vocal.
Fair play to you.
Anyway, not going to the direction, but a good example of what a president means to the people and why it has evolved over time is, if you go on social media now, and our president is Emmanuel Macron, and of course the guy is using Twitter now. Why not? But
Inspired by Trump.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when he goes to Twitter and says something, you will see in the comment people say "motherfucker," and they will use insult. I think 100 years ago, no one will, allow himself to do that, because the respect
Of course.
that they have for the president, because I understand as well the responsibility. So I think today the number one difference between an entrepreneur, most of the entrepreneur and president, is the conviction. An entrepreneur will go beyond the social recognition or the social approbation to go to the journey of proving something and doing something that he truly believes inside is right. Even though, for most probably at the very beginning of the journey and for maybe a long-term period, there will be so much doubt and people will say you're crazy, because you have to be crazy to an extent. But to lead people as well, you have to see things that no one can see. And just your journey. It doesn't mean that's why not everyone can be an entrepreneur, and it's fine, because it's very difficult. You require a lot of self-confidence, but at the meantime as well the capacity to question everything, but in a healthy way. I don't think that this is what presidents are doing. I think they are today, and especially because in 4 years there is so little you can do, but they are here to try to understand what's the best strategy to actually please people.
Maintain equilibrium to a degree.
Yeah. And the problem of that is, especially in Europe, you have education going down gradually every year. And when you have uneducated people that live in a democracy, and the president, the guy on the top of the pyramid, which is the president, trying to please the people that are less and less educated, then you go to this very, very noisy situation that doesn't produce any good outcome. Because it's like being an entrepreneur, you need to listen to your customer or your user, but listen doesn't mean you have to take everything that they say for granted. Because sometimes we express something, we say, oh, this juice is horrible. But actually the message is different. Today I had a bad day, and I needed a space that was more calm, right? There's nothing to do about the juice. It's about you maybe creating a space that is, because you have your coworker or your, cats and dogs there, and actually you as an entrepreneur, what you need to receive as a message is, maybe there's an opportunity for me to create a space that is more isolated. It's nothing to do about the juice.
The presenting problem is never the problem, as they say.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like Biden at the moment, who's president, he's an older gentleman who maybe, somehow he's there, all right, doing his job. How much of the job is he actually doing, and how much is he influenced by entrepreneurs who own huge corporations that really run the show? Because we talk about they're different, but I feel there's a symbiotic relationship between everything and everyone. We're all one. We all come from that point of singularity when the universe went, right? So it's all connected in somehow, but there's some entrepreneurs who, do not work with the matrix. And there's some, rebellious types. You could look at us as disruptors, hence why YouTube and people like that don't like that. But then you have the entrepreneurs who are connected to that realm, and they, money to the politicians, and politicians, let them certain laws. So how do you differentiate between those kind of entrepreneurs?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think sometimes you have just to wait for time to give you some sort of guidance. Yeah, and for example, if you ask me, I respect a lot what Elon Musk is doing as an entrepreneur. I'm very much into the admiration in terms of dedication and his power. There is a lot that you can inspire from. When it's come to this final agenda, I have no clue. If I withdraw myself from the admiration that I have as an entrepreneur, because the abnegation, the amount of things that he's managing to doing, how he imposes vision, and how much, you ask sometimes, is the guy that's clone, because to be in so many companies that are successful and manage to drive innovation and make them going forward, it's very impressive. You have to pay respect to the guy. Mm-hmm. When it's come to this final agenda, I have no idea, because he say a lot of contradictory things, right? AI one day is a supporter, sometimes it's a distractor, it's doing something else. So the analytical myself of me is saying it's very confusing, right? Ultimately, I think it's the mirror effect, and I believe, regardless of what's the agenda of people, even if there is cycle where maybe the most evil matrix bad guy are leading, because I believe in polarity, I think extreme will create another extreme of entrepreneur. So universe somehow compensates, regardless of what you believe. And of course, as human, we feel the pressure of time. We say, if one day you feel overwhelmed, or 2 days, sometimes it felt like very long time. But with regard to the scale of human time, right? Maybe in 10 years, you are very evil entrepreneur, but they will be compensated, because they will inspire a new generation of entrepreneurs with very, very strong heart, very strong-hearted. Just the reality of how things compensate. I think Bitcoin comes from this. It's a very good illustration of a world that was collapsing from the money perspective and the way it was designed, and something. Basically, a seed was planted now 18 years ago, 2009, and since it has grown up massively.
Voila. Touching on the Bitcoin. Okay, I could have gotten involved earlier. All these sort of the things that sort of pop around. It's quite unstable because it's new, and I hear many mentors I know who are resistant, even Warren Buffett, all these people, because they know their way, and they see it as something that's just not going to last. Maybe Ethereum, because of the platform and everything else. Look, I stepped in this world for a little bit when I was a speaker, and I did a bit of training in Singapore, and then somehow I came back and I was sharing on stage something called the Success Coin, and people were running up to buy it, and I was like, I didn't even know what I was talking about, but I invested myself into it because I felt like if I'm watching people invest, I need to do it myself. And I still, to get my head around it, and I'm hearing, both sides, So we are stepping into this realm. How does Bitcoin, let's say there's the old earth and there's a new earth. How does Bitcoin, this model, serve those who want to be in the new earth? And the new earth is about love, equilibrium, living from the higher self with purpose, communities, coming together. How does it serve that, and how does it also become a disservice?
Good question. So I guess there's many answers they can provide that are very rational, but I'll go first with one that I think I don't hear being mentioned that often, and I think it's essential.
Cool.
So for love to expand, I think to me there is a multiple requisite, and the most important one is respect. Right? So I have to respect you for the love to expand, and accountability. That they go together somehow, right? I think what Bitcoin and Ethereum and everything that is built around this ecosystem has done very well is they're creating the first generation of financial product and investment product that are not built in financial institution. So they are built by people for people. Is there scam? Is there abuse? Yes, there's a lot of them, right? But at least as a human, I give you the chance to do your analysis, to make your own mind, and take the leap of faith of investing by yourself. The result of that is, if the coin goes down, you can say the guy is a scammer, you can complain, but you have to take responsibility for it, right? In the traditional financial system, right, when we have the worst crisis of all time in 2008, you can blame your financial advisor. When you blame someone else for your decision, because it was still your decision to take it. But because he has the tie, he has the title, you say, oh, he was the expert, how could I do better? While he was the expert, I would have done even worse. But you still blame the guy. right?
Just like people do with people like presidents in governments,
Exactly.
right?
But it was still ultimately your decision. It's more easy to blame when you give you the title and the framework. When you blame someone for your decision, you lose your power instantly, right? That's what it is, right? When you find external excuse for your own decision, you lose instantly your power. In crypto and what come around crypto, you don't have this effect because there is no title, there is no financial institution. Of course, someone that you respect can tell you, I invest on this one, etc. But at least he put his money, and it's very easy to see. I have so many friends that work in bank. They provide investment services for their client, but they do exactly the opposite for themselves because they don't believe in what they are doing. Because there is a framework for the institution and they don't. So the conviction is really out of the game. And what it leads to is financial crisis. And it's very hard for people to see, but since 20 years, we are constantly, 15 years, we've been constantly into financial crisis. It's just that now the financial system is built in a way that is, it's very hard to understand. But the result of that is the real estate has exploded, the poverty in the world has exploded, the wealth gap has exploded. It's just the result of micro financial crises that are always managed at a very, very high level where it's very complex because it's touching money. And money is so difficult to comprehend and understand. But we're just losing power collectively all the time. At least crypto, right? There is a lot of scammer and there's a lot of things, but at least you learn and you can't blame yourself. And I love that. I think to me it's the most important part because I respect you. I give you the chance to actually make great things. And you're a great entrepreneur doing amazing things and you can literally change your life if you manage to select. But if you come just to scratch a lottery ticket, then you can't blame, right? You take your chance, didn't work, and it's fine. But I think if you spend enough time and love and you really get interested into the space, and it's not for everyone, I guess the chance to make it are much higher than anywhere else. But as I say, it's fine to come for the speculation, but you have to stay for the philosophy. Because only that would get you to the right people, and then you create a different type of energy. But as you say, in the new earth, I think it works more mechanically with energy. If you start to connect to the right energy field, good things will come to you instantly without you struggling too much. And that's why we see people going from nothing to everything. Even if I speak for my own self, right? I'm the co-founder of SwissBorg. So SwissBorg is a crypto investment firm out of Switzerland. We have an app where you can buy crypto, and we've been doing that since 7 years. Before I created this company, I was on my mom's sofa. I worked for finance for 10 years. I was very unhappy. So I quit my job, very well-paid job in London. And I was very unhappy. I feel very unfulfilled. But this moment as well where I was really touching the ground, I surrendered so much that somehow energy started to connect with me. Someone called me and said, oh, you should look at Dash. Dash was a cryptocurrency at that time. He said it's going to be the new Bitcoin. And I get into the rabbit hole of cryptocurrency this way in just one call. And I get guided, and a year after, we were raising 50 million with my co-founder, and then we have started an amazing company. We're so proud every day. To run this company, we have 200 employees over the world. We're one of the best crypto app in Europe. But how much the life changed from the moment I started to connect with myself, I stopped to trying to adopt and please society with what, because I've done an engineering school 5 years, then you say you're going to work on Wall Street, you're going to be happy. And you wake up every day and you have good salary, but you feel very miserable. Like it's like as your salary is just to compensate your misery. And I have the chance since I'm a child. It's very hard for me to do something that I don't like.
Yeah,
it's extremely hard. I've been guided, and it's hard sometimes to assume this trait of character. But it takes me to a place where, from the outside, I was unlucky. Because I had such a good job and I'm back on my mom's sofa and I don't know really what I want to do with my life. But it gave me the conviction to say I have nothing to lose, so I can do the fuck I want. Mm-hmm. And the things that I believe are right. And instantly things are connected by themselves, because people that connect to you in this moment where you have no strategy, themselves they have no strategy. It's just genuine connection. And together you can achieve so much. Yeah.
So somebody has right now who's looking at this and go, well, it's so late in the game, and I've got 100 quid, or I've got 1,000 quid, or whatever. Is it worth it? I mean, how do I get involved? how's it going to change my life?
Yeah. I mean, for sure, it's very difficult to make life-changing money with $100. But when you have a skin in the game, you start to pay more interest as well. Like you're more attentive to what's going on. To an extent, you have to get involved. And in life, to succeed, you have to manage priority. So what do you do every day that you believe is superfluous, is not needed? And you can switch by spending more time looking at crypto, because there is so much to discover about crypto, but about yourself. The number of things that everyone is thinking every day, when you wake up, there is not, after 1 hour, most probably 99% of the world is thinking about money. 1% for sure, right? Because it's a constant thing that we always thinking every day. But very little people understand what money is, what money is about. I think the first benefit of coming to crypto is to understand the space, you have to understand first what we are building against. So what is the new paradigm that we're building? Yeah. What's the whole paradigm? And for that, you have to understand what money is, right? And how money has been built, what's the belief system around money. And then in itself, that, even if you forget how much money you're going to make, even in itself will give you more power to understand what's the game we're playing. Because money is not something that we teach at school. Actually, just we accept, okay, I'm going to work, I'm going to receive money. I don't really know what money is, right? It's a piece of paper. I can't hit it. Maybe I can smoke it. It's the best I can do with it. But it still bears so much value. And people are ready to give me the best juice possible, the best experience possible for a piece of paper. But what it is, why that? And to understand that, it's fundamental to as well understand why crypto can have value.
You know, it's interesting because I had a revelation when it was in 2015, I hit rock bottom, literally. And I realized I didn't have money in my account because I wasn't being as valuable as I could have been. I looked at it as value points. I was like, why do I not have value points in my account? I need to become more valuable. Mm-hmm. And so I went on that journey to become more valuable. And I've gone on a whole different journey in the last 4 years to get up to this place right now. It'll go in the book. And when you look at something like what you're doing, is somebody's gaining value through money itself, what if they're not becoming valuable themselves? Like, when does it become, they can see their money go up, but are they valuable themselves to know what to do with it? Because you can make that money, but your mentality is still in the old earth. And that's what it is. It's, okay, yes, you are making money, but what are you doing with it? What is your purpose with making money? For people out there, doing it, life without purpose, but they know Bitcoin, leads to debauchery. Life with purpose leads to philanthropy. So there's pros and cons. You can make somebody very wealthy and then they go out there and just, look like they're damaging the planet, right? Or people and lives and things like that because they have it and they don't know what to do with it. Sometimes it's a dangerous game.
Yeah.
How do you balance that out,
Last time I was at a conference in Dubai. It's one of the most famous conferences for Bitcoin. It's called the Bitcoin Satoshi Roundtable. And you have basically all the guys from the OG of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency flying from everywhere and meeting. And there was this, so you have different atelier and workshop. It's a nice hotel and you have maybe 10 workshops at the same time, 30 minutes for 8 hours in the day. And you met interesting people. So I went to this, because at some point I was talking AI and all these things, very technical things, very interesting. And I said, okay, I'm going to go to the mindfulness workshop just to relax, right? And to meet different type of people as well.
Yeah.
And next to me, there was this guy, he buy Bitcoin at the very, very beginning of Bitcoin. So literally it was very open because it says place is Dubai. He said, I'm a Bitcoin millionaire, but I'm depressed. I have a lot of money, but I'm depressed. Okay, fine. And he explained, what he's doing, trying to achieve. And then I sat down, I went for lunch and I sat down next to the guy and we started to engage in the conversation. How did you become here and et cetera and et cetera. And why are you depressed, right? I was trying to understand. And I asked him, do you invest? There's so many entrepreneurs in Bitcoin, in cryptocurrency. Do you invest? Do you try to involve yourself and et cetera? And the guy said, no, I never sell any Bitcoin. I sell very little just to buy me a house and what is necessary, but I keep as much Bitcoin as possible. Why? Because as you say, his wealth measure by monetary value has increased, but his identity, his experience to life has not increased the same way. So his identity has become Bitcoin. So what it is to the world and to himself is a Bitcoin holder. That's what it is. And
that's his
why
identity.
He's holding so much to that, right? Because that's become his identity. I'm a millionaire, I'm a billionaire, I'm a Bitcoin billionaire. That's what his identity is, right? For entrepreneur, I speak with myself. I increase my amount of money, but I increase so much my knowledge, my expertise to this world. So money is just following my path.
Your trajectory. Because money is a byproduct.
It's not my identity. My identity is being an entrepreneur. Tomorrow, you'll take away my wealth. It's going to be painful. I will have to grind again, but I know what the grind is. So when we go back to what you said earlier, which is we live in a society that only look for the instant reward. It's not used to go for the grind. It's not used. We don't understand what delayed gratification is. But most of the time in life, the journey is much more interesting than the destination. And we see that at so many levels. You see sports people, boxer, they fight so hard to become world champion. From the moment they become world champion, they start to drink and they start to collapse. So I think what you're saying is very fundamental, is if you make money, but your identity doesn't follow, then money becomes your identity. And that's the trap. Because then you will be in fear of losing money, you will accumulate, you will try to accumulate house and cars and etc. because you will be seeking identity. But if you build yourself an identity and money follow, 100%. And it will follow gradually, it's nothing to do with money. Beautiful,
because ironically, we're talking about Bitcoin and it's not about money. What is all of these modalities? It's a modality. We look at life, we go, like I stepped into this world. My first sort of modality, everything's a modality. I've been a chef, I've been a tailor, I've been all these different jobs, from acting to removing the mask, to a coach, to a speaker, to podcasting, to restaurateur owner, to all of these different things. Each is a modality to learn something about oneself. Being a trader, Bitcoiner, all of these things is ultimately learning that what's being said biblically, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, Jesus, Prophet Muhammad, philosophers like Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, they talk in a way that, it's not about being attached to obviously materialistic things. And though in this world there's so much material that we can attain now, we can get lost with it. This is speeding up, like I mentioned before about the VHS tape, leading us towards coming to contact with an extraterrestrial called our higher self. That is from the divine intelligence, the universal hand that's at play. When we're in scarcity, we have no clue. We can't see it. No. I've mentioned this before. Faraday and Maxwell, the scientists who saw electromagnetic fields before anybody else did. People thought they were mad. And that's led to technology. It's led to communication. We're talking about 1700s, onwards, right? They saw something, though they knew they couldn't prove it, but they just knew it was there. And there's this divine intelligence that is operating all of us, that is right here. When you see that, and it's all about leading us towards love. All of these tools that we have, Bitcoin being a modality, is to lead us towards enlightenment to a degree, illuminating, to finding our purpose, because these people who are attached to Bitcoin having money are not happy. Yet people will see that and go, but how can you not be happy? People are still under the illusion that if I'm rich and I have that money, then I'll be happy. I've stepped in the world from when I was a coach, doing my thing, living by a lemon tree. I had my slice of paradise in the north of Cyprus. It was a very brief moment. And I was like, this is like €500 a month rent for a 2-bedroom. I wasn't in London when you had to spend $2,500, because you feel like you have to grind, and it's really a grind, just to survive, And when I was in London, I was like, I feel like I'm waiting to live. Like, why am I waiting? I can be anywhere in the world, but analysis paralysis. I had so much choice because I could be on my laptop. So when I went to North Cyprus, I had everything I needed. I just wanted my time, just enough that I pick up my lemon, have water, by the mountains, by the sea, have a few clients. And for me, I was golden. Within a couple of months, I met my wife. And the life I walked into there was just a different kettle of fish. It was extreme. Now, stepping into that world with immense amount of wealth, the amount of sharks that are hanging around you, the amount of stress and issues that surround money when you step into it is a different ball game. The problems just seem so huge. And so people have this fantasy that if I have that, I'm going to be happy. But you can only manage it when you can manage your emotions, as Warren Buffett says. And to jump into Bitcoin and things like this, I'm horrendous when it comes to the emotions, especially around money. And it's funny how I put myself in this position that sort of money is, I've let go of attachment to money to the point where I've kind of given it. My wife, like, you know, everybody else have it. But it has put me in a bit of a situation because I'm like, it's like a part of me just, I want to just be able to do things for free, help people, just, you know, kumbaya, you know. But it's doing these things, but there is a need to have money in this world because I would like to make these things go bigger and bigger, you know. But that means I have to have money. But it's not that I want money for me. I'm happy for somebody else to have it. I just want to build the vision, have these things all around the world. And I hear it, and a part of me wants to be a part of this, having millions and billions. And my vision will need billions to make it happen. But it's not for me to have it in my bank account because I don't actually need anything. Just to know that what I envision can become a reality. Yeah. So I'm in a bit of a dichotomy in that regard because I've sort of let go of it and I'm thinking, but in order to make it work, I need money. But it's not about money for me. I don't need it. How do I get over that dichotomy? And so I'm hearing it, and I'm just sharing it. You know, why not? Here I am. There's a part of me wants it, but I also see myself what I'm like when I have money. Like it's about trusting oneself when you have it, you know? Because what if you're, like most people are addicts in some way, driven by habits. So when they have a lot of money, it speeds their compulsions up. And it can be quite devastating for people. That's probably why subconsciously they push it away or have reasons and everything else. Because if they put themselves in that game, and I stepped in that game, I know what it's like. You have access to all these things. You don't know what to do with yourself until. But it also, like Dubai is a medicine where it speeds up your karma. Because there's so much here that if you haven't checked yourself, it will run you into a certain direction. And I've had to learn what that meant and who I am through it. And it sped things up. You know, it's like the suppressed parts come out to play. And you go, well, I didn't know that was there. And it's about kind of putting yourself back towards yourself so that you can be in a place where money is with you and you know that you can put it to good use, you know? So for people, that's maybe an issue why they don't have it. Because you know what? If they have it, it's like getting into a Ferrari, you've just passed your test, you know? Boom, straight into the wall.
Yeah.
How do somebody navigate having money like that when maybe they have their own issues to still deal with?
It's a good point. I want to come back to what you say about what money means for you, which is ultimately, if I try to summarize, you say it's a tool that helped me to accelerate a world that collaborates with my vision, basically. So you expand your money because then you're going to have people that instantly collaborate with your vision of the world. So enable this cafe, for example, and different things. And ultimately, you hope that they're going to fall in love anyway with the vision, right? So you don't have to pitch them first, so it just go faster. And that's exactly what crypto is doing. Crypto is saying, I need to create a unit of value because ultimately money is a definition that we give. I'm going to create a token. And the people that embrace the vision, that actually are able to see what I see, they start to work for myself, right? So they develop code, they go do marketing, or they contribute in some way. And they're going to receive the token as a unit of value that we share all together because we enable the vision for the world. And what I say is people believe investment is making money with money, which is ultimately one part of what investment is making. But more importantly, investment is a collective manifestation tools. If I invest into a bunch of entrepreneurs that create a certain world, for example, if I put all my money, if all the money in the world goes to the hand of Elon Musk, most probably we're going to say, oh, this planet is rubbish, we're going to all travel to Mars. And in 100 years from now, everyone is going to travel to Mars. But if on the opposite side, I invest in different type of entrepreneur that believe, no, this is golden, we want to keep it, and we're going to change things, we're going to invent new technology that recycle whatever it is, then in 100 years, it's going to be a different planet. So regardless of how much money you make with an investment, more importantly, it's a collective investment tool to manifest a certain reality. That's what it is. I give the chance to entrepreneur that have the knowledge that they doesn't have, or a group of individuals, to actually work very hard in manifesting a reality. And that's what you say, attention and money. Money is attention, that's your time, right? You exchange your time for money, and what your money goes is your time, and which is your attention. And what attention goes, manifestation goes. Crypto has invented a technological way to circumvent money to collectively manifest. And that is very, very important. Now, coming back to how do you handle money when you went from nothing to having a lot of money? It goes back to what we say just before is money is energy. And we're all shaman our own way, right? And there is different level into this game of being a shaman is. And if you receive too much energy that you cannot handle, it's like going to, any ceremony and being with a shaman with 100 people. If he's not able to contain the energy, it's going to go very bad. It could be a very traumatic experience for the group and for himself. As a young shaman, maybe you have a group of 10, 4 people, and that's how things go. And as you increase your energy level, then you're able to manage more and more people. People would love to be Tony Robbins, for example. I don't know the guy particularly, but he has elevated himself. He's managed to hold the energy of thousands of people in the same room. Not everyone can do that. That you like the guys or not, he has managed to elevate his energy to this level. So when you receive money, and that's why lottery guys as well, they're not very happy. And as you say, sometimes they lose everything and people say, why? It will never happen to me. Because when you receive money, you're unable to evaluate how much are you ready to handle this energy. And this energy can work against you. So that's why I think we undervalue experience. Tomorrow, if I give you money, $1 million, it wouldn't change anything. I mean, it would change things on the moment you experience and etc. But very quickly, you're going to go back to your,
You get the peak, you get the pleasure.
Yeah.
Thinking that you avoid the pain, but the pain will come in because you can't separate the two.
So you have
They're
to
inseparable.
I think we have to embrace every experience from the point of view as, okay, if I make money, that's good. And of course, for some people it's very important, depending what they are. But how do I increase my energy level? I increase my frequency and my capacity to handle more. That's what it is ultimately. And when you start to design your life, not chasing materialistic stuff, because ultimately that's what money is, but you're really trying to become a better person in a sense, elevate your energy, then you're ready to welcome more from the world. Right? And some people will say it's manifesting, good things happen to you. But the way I see it is you just become stronger, energetically speaking, and then there is more place for energy to manifest things in your life.
So if, you got your company, SwissBorg, and you have your other company that's sort of to put you in the driving seat regards to social media and things like this, which could be great to put them together, right? Because you can monetize through Bitcoin, make it. If we were to do sort of New Earth and go, okay, let's look at this vehicle. So we're putting content out there and it's making money through SwissBorg somehow. Is there something there? Say if we came forward and, okay, we want to do New Earth and a New Earth coin where we can use this coin only for spending within the New Earth paradigm. Can't be used at KFC or something like that. It's the old Earth, right? Is that possible?
It's 100% possible. One of the, let's say, if we want to play this game of understanding, okay, beyond using it as money, how can we, because what crypto is doing very well is to share a common dream with people. It's to allow people to manifest collectively a certain reality. So let's say we come to the conclusion that there is so many places in the world where fast food, for example, is predominant and is really unhealthy for the new generation of people. Then we can create crowdfund collectively, a New Earth coin that's going to be, we're going to raise money, and with this money we're going to accelerate the proliferation of New Earth Cafe. And maybe we say for every 10 meal that people purchase with the coin, 1 meal is going to be offered to, an athlete, a young guy that really needs and something like this. So when on yourself, it's going to take you a lot of time to actually create, not only to from the money-wise, but from the organizational part to actually expand this model to the entire world. From the moment you raise a coin, you say, okay, the coin is $1. If someone has $1,000 by himself, or because he managed to convince other holder to put together 1,000 coins together, then wherever he lives, we can create a new cafe. And that's the way we govern the decision. If you accelerate as well, not only by raising money, but you decentralize the decision and how things are built. One cafe is going to be open here, one other cafe is going to be open here. You're not going to follow the subway model where you are your 10 or 1,000 of people, corporate guys that are chasing bonuses. No, you're actually people organically are going to create cafe, and they're going to exchange what's the best practices. And some people will fail. It doesn't matter because they will have shared the knowledge for the other people to actually make it successful.
Okay, love this. There's an app. Have you got it called Pattern? No. The Pattern. All right, download it, right? Okay. Because it goes into your star lines, charts and everything, and it shows your patterns that are coming up. Oh, wow. And it says one of the patterns I've got is something about destiny, and that it's got 18 days left. And it says about new relationships, take it now because it can take, and it's ringing because I read it this morning, and it's okay, we could be onto something here because ultimately we're decentralizing communities in a way that, like governments, countries, right? Money, fiat, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency is sort of like subset communities. And I think New Earth is about that. It's what you're looking at money, but we're doing it with communities. And what's the best way is to find like a New Earth cafe and put it in a community because people connect over food. They've been doing it since tribal days, right? That is the first thing. At the end of it, doesn't matter what beautiful computers and you're stuck in your world, you've got to eat something. Yeah. And this cafe, there is no borders, because it's plant-based, but it has eggs. It's gluten-free, sugar-free, it's safe for kids, adults alike. If you've got diabetes or whatever it is, it heals you. Like this food can really heal you. And it's not a quick dopamine hit, right? Let's go back to it. How do we come? The community can share ideas as we offer, workshops and skills and podcasts. That we give everybody a voice in every community to make local communities global communities. And this is what New Earth Cafe is about. So, like you just said, this coin and these ideas, I love it. And I just don't just say it and then go, all right, well, thank you for your time and catch you soon. Like, I really want to carry this through a little bit, man, if you're up for something like this, because this is about education. When people are educated, then they can make better informed decisions. That's number one. And we all want to live longer if there's a world worth living long for. And society, what it's shown is that when communities foster this unity, longevity goes higher. It's in our best interest to have these, to live longer, to have our children live longer, to live in the new earth here, not bugger off to Mars and build a whole new thing. That's going to take a long time. Let's preserve what we have here as an example, not to be a parasite and go somewhere else and do the same damage. We need to educate people here and spread that. So say if New Earth Cafe was that and we worked in tangent, like crypto and this other vehicle, and we're going, right, let's create this. And how do we drive it all around the world? And then we connect all these cafes and their communities using this cryptocurrency. Suddenly there's no government. There's none of these people needed because everybody's being educated. Government becomes irrelevant because entrepreneurial minds like ourselves are coming together like this, not as separation, but to show this is what happens when you come in unity towards a shared vision about connecting, because ultimately that's what it is, right? People have this Bitcoin, but they don't really know what to do with it, and they're feeling depressed, but they see that there's communities they can be a part of, coaches and therapists and things like this. That just it forms a part of communities as we look after everybody. There's nobody left behind. We raise consciousness together, and it's not doing it by ourselves. This is somebody going, I would like this here. And we go and we travel. And we go to these places and we watch these cafes popping up, and then we go and talk and share, and the companies, this is part of the New Earth Cafe, and how do we exchange value between one another? Suddenly fiat money doesn't even exist anymore, Then we can really create this symbiotic unity around the earth that's sort of like the electromagnetic field Faraday was talking about, you know, that we can really make that happen, that suddenly we're now all connected symbiotically.
Yeah.
The governments are now, they don't have power anymore because they can't lock you off through communication and cut you off, because now we can communicate directly from the cafe if we need to, as well as the channel for your company.
Yeah.
You know, and things like. So I'm going to get the contract now. Can we?
No, what I agree with you is it could not happen with a corporation. If you look at Subway, as you said, everything is designed at the top level to look exactly the same, to replicate what customer service is, and to have the most standard experience as possible. But imperfection is good because it inspires you, right? It gives you new idea, and it keeps the organism living. And it's true that corporation, what they have shown is, you actually can concentrate the most of the wealth of the world into the hands of a few people, but it doesn't make the world happiest, right? Because this guy, of course, maybe they're genuine, maybe they really want to improve things, but they optimize variable, and human is not variable, it's a growing organism, right? So you have to leave them freedom and accept that, it's a cycle, right? It's maybe this design is going to be very different than the one in Chicago or in Bali and etc. But this imperfection make the world as well stronger and faster, because we're building the tools behind, which is the communication, the channel, and I think that's the next step for crypto as well, is to take what they have done in the digital world, which you see incredible collaboration. Again, most of the usage in crypto is still speculation. But when it works at the collaboration level, it's amazing. The people, the energy that they put, the love that we receive for our community is amazing. People, they follow us like they will follow a football team. That will never happen with Amazon, for example, right? You have no love for Amazon. It's very services. You're upset if they don't deliver at a good time. You have no empathy, because that's the way they've designed their energy. So what is next for crypto is to bring this level of enthusiasm into the real world, because the real world as well is crushed by these big corporations that are very hard to fight. They have the power, they have the knowledge, they have many things. And maybe they're trying to do good, but from the way they optimize things, there is only to an extent you can optimize what humanity is, right? Because you can't compromise humanity. That's the principle design. We can't solve humanity. That's why we're here.
You know, when you looked at that, it's like having a poster boy, where you look at cryptocurrency because it gets a bad rap. And it's about educating people, of course. That's why we're having this conversation. But if people can see it in tangent with something as it grows and expands and it's serving communities, then people go, well, I hear these things, but I'm seeing it that my community is getting better because of it. Because, say, the New Earth Cafe is there, and then there's, you know, and it's part of it, and we're going into each different place, and everybody has a voice. Because the only way we can innovate and expand is everybody has a voice, and they share their feedback, like we're doing now. And we can go, I didn't think of that idea. Which means we'll never stop expanding, because everybody has a voice, like we do with the cafe. You know, we have a meeting, set up first one today, after reading Stephen Bartlett's book, Diary of a CEO, 30 years old. You're doing all right, mate. And you know, how can you do 1% better than last week? It's not the first time I've heard that, but you know, sometimes you hear it. Now I have a cafe. Okay, how can we do better than we did last week? Then to the point where we can sit there and go, how did we make this community better than we did last week? Because now we have, you know, and then how do we make the world better? Because we're here and everywhere, you know, collectively asking these questions. What can we do to evolve consciousness? And the cryptocurrency could potentially be, you know, this, how we're going about it, could be the way to spread this around the world. Because I'm thinking to myself, what is the point of it all? Yeah. Unless there's purpose behind it, if we're not serving the community, because the community will serve us right back.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the greatest achievement of crypto as an investment as well vehicle is truly a vehicle that helps you to align who you are with your investment better. The reason is because there is utility. So let me explain. I bet you that the biggest investor on KFC or Subway or McDonald's, maybe they never go to eat anything there because they say this food is horrible. I will not send my kids. I'm happy to be an investor, but I will not send my kids. And this incoherence is hurting the world, right? Because there's a discrepancy between what you believe in and what you invest in. With crypto, because as you say, if we have a coin for this cafe, I can be an investor, but I can come and I can use it. I can voice myself. Maybe I can have a special privilege experience, a yoga session that is only available to people that hold the coin. So I give an emotional connection to this coin beyond the pure speculation, because speculation is a spreadsheet, and of course it optimized to some extent, but I don't think it has served humanity as a whole. It has managed to put in the hand of few people that have extremely insist into technology and they have improved overall the quality of life. But we have optimized for materialism. So we went from religion, where people live their life in the goal of elevate themselves to heaven. That was the spiritual, the promise of society before materialism was, you're a good father, you're a good soldier, whatever it is, you're going to go to heaven. So there was a spiritual meaning to life. I align my action to become elevated in the next life. This dream fall, and then we came with materialism. Materialism was, you work very hard, you're going to have a pension fund, you're going to have a house, you're going to have all these things. And people don't find, we completely forget about the spiritual path, and we went to the materialism, but materialism doesn't feed ourselves. They were, you look at in the US, 15% of Americans are dying from loneliness because 15% of Americans have no friends, zero. Not even a connection with people they interact with. You don't speak with your neighbor anymore. So there's a bunch of things into materialism that I think we come to the end of this cycle. And there's something in between. Some shamans say it's shamanism because it's at the merging of both. Because shamanism gives you a physical experience, but with a spiritual meaning, which religion doesn't give you somehow. But for sure, we need to reinvent the way. And I think the first step is to make money more intelligent and more attached to something more emotional. And that's what crypto is doing because of what we say, utility. It gives you a financial benefit, potentially, but it gives you as well privilege. So then you own a coin that you actually want to use, not only speculate on.
Because I see these coins, Dodge coins and all these coins with a funny little dog on and things like that. And I'm wondering myself, okay, what does it mean? Somebody throws a coin. What is the purpose of this coin? And I think I'm sort of waiting because this technology is still sorting itself out, I think, But it has been percolating in my mind, this particular coin, using it within the light world, Only... It's not something you invest in because you want to make money and you wouldn't use it like, as you said, McDonald's or something like that. How easy is it to create a coin like that where people could invest to go, I've managed to gain X many coins, can you open up a cafe here, for example? How viable actually is that?
It's very viable, depending on how much effort you put. Actually, to create a coin on any cryptocurrency or blockchain, you can create a coin on Ethereum, Solana, you name it. There is many options that exist. It's pretty easy and simple. It doesn't cost you a lot of money. Now to give value, so to take the time to actually infuse in this coin a meaning, infuse a mission, a vision, that's where the complex part is, because you need to give a soul to the coin. The same thing as it's most probably not that difficult to build a cafe. There is sufficient architect and people.
It's extremely difficult.
Okay, but to give
it is quite stressful. But
okay,
yeah,
maybe that's stressful. But the process is well known.
The concept, to create the concept is one thing. Once you know the concept, copy and paste, the next one will be easier, the next one will be easier for sure.
But the concept is the difficult part. Yeah. I mean, the engineering of the cafe
itself,
of course. It's a process that is well known. But coming with the brand, the meaning, what you want to do, what's the message you want to give, that's the complex part.
Yeah.
So in crypto, it's pretty simple to create a coin. But to make this coin vibe and create a soul and a meaning, a purpose, the coin is complex, and it's again, it's a little bit of shamanism because you introduce a new entity to the world, right? And even now with AI, there is all this debate about saying what is human, what is a citizen to the world, and we don't know. So I literally believe it's when you create a coin, you manifest a new entity to this world, so you bear the responsibility with it. What I love about crypto is people question; they're very vocal. There is many ways to interact with them. What it is, Twitter, Discord, or any other channel, and you can adjust your model. Of course, there will be a lot of doubt at the beginning, but where your intention are well placed, there's so much you can achieve. I know that in the US there is this concept, it's called Blackbird,
Okay.
and they bring a universal concept of loyalty to restaurants. And there's this dimension where they issue a coin, and the coin will give some governance purpose, and they're trying to as well give the chance to restaurant, not only to, okay, I can give you a loyalty program, it give you, I don't know, 1 meal after 10 meals. It's very mechanical, but how can I get closer to my community? Because maybe the coin that I give them, ultimately they will decide collectively to create a new restaurant for me, or they will finance my new restaurant. So that would be amazing that collectively all the clients of New Earth decide one day, because you reward them with loyalty, and then it's a business model that makes sense for you. After 1 year or 2 years, they collectively come together and say, all these points that we accumulate actually have a value on chain in crypto, and we want to exchange this value that you can create a New Earth restaurant somewhere else.
Okay, I'm liking this, right? So if we're having this conversation, what would be the next step if I want to make this happen? If I, game plan to see this in every single community around the world.
Yeah,
it's just a couple. What would be the next step from your perspective, from your world?
Yeah.
Because I really respect what you're saying here.
I think the next step, first step is always to write a white paper. You have to go big. It's like you're creating a memento for your ideas, and you have to channel them into something that is actually very, very, very difficult to achieve. That's what it needs to be. The vision needs to be non-attainable, right? It needs to be something that you pursue all the time. So it needs to be very clear, because people will connect on that level. Then there is technical discussion that comes out is, do you want the people that own the coin do you see that just as a payment methodology / loyalty program, or do we see that as well a crowdfunding mechanism where people become owner of every cafe that's going to be initiated? So you can raise a lot of money and say, when collectively a group manage to accumulate this much coin, they can open a cafe, and collectively we own this cafe. If we decide to collectively own the cafe, of course there is then different legal step to take, and that's what the model is.
I think the tough one is about when it's many different people, too many cooks in the kitchen, but at the same time it's for the community. So it's because I have a particular vision, and if I feel like that's why we haven't had people invest. We've sort of stopped people investing in, because otherwise the shareholders, and suddenly you're pulled like a politician, where suddenly it's not about as selfless as I possibly can, because I really would like to see that before I go, because I'm not really attached to anything. So I have an objective reality, like I have an objective perception that I'm trusting more and more myself of how I see the world, because of my lack of attachment to money and everything, pretty much, that I can leave this behind, where it's so protected, with AI protecting it to a degree from people, that it can carry on serving, raising consciousness. And so for now, it'd be in a way that people would like to see their community better, and they would like to share, and they'd like to connect like we're doing, because they can see that as a value. But they don't want to deal with the headache of owning a cafe and everything else, but they would like to be part of the movement, be part of this new earth. Like, I want to be part of it, but I understand, but then how do they make money? Like, what do they get in return? But it allows us to have the money to keep growing. You know what I mean? So they don't take it out the pot, because this is about sort of architecture, we're alchemizing. Am I knocking something? It's you, long legs, right? So so what do you suggest?
It's a good question. In this step, as you mentioned, governance is a critical step, and again, governance can evolve with time. I think when you create a new company, it's naive to believe that people can govern without being involved on a daily basis into expanding this thing. So for any decentralized dream to happen, you need to have a certain degree of centralization at the beginning. And some people say it needs to be sufficiently decentralized at start, at least. And gradually then you start to understand, even yourself, when you went through the process enough, what deserves to be decentralized. So you can clearly raise money and say, for now the coin is It's something that you can use for paying, you can use for consume services, still money for this cafe. And all the money that you raise this way is going to be helping you to maybe expand 10 other cafes all over the world. And that's the first phase of the roadmap, is to say the first 10 cafes not going to be decentralized. I have this idea, I have this concept, I'm going to deploy them. I'm going to choose myself who's going to own them and report to the community. After a year or 1 year and a half, then you can learn from this experience and say, we went from 1 to 10, how we go to 100? And then you decide again. You go through a phase where you say, is it the right moment to go all in with the community, or do I need to find something in between? So it's not like you cannot anticipate what the plan is going to be. You have to have a rough idea of what's going to be the step, or the milestone, where you need to stop, reflect, being accountable for what happened, the winning, the losing, be open with the community and say, here's the decision we make, until the point where it's self-sustainable enough that you can live it. Because that's what you do with a kid, right? Is you're helping to grow to a point where he can leave the house and have a good life by himself. And then you're not responsible anymore, like you've done your work. The same happened with a company, or the same happened with a crypto project. Your goal is to help the project to be self-sustainable. That's why you need to lead the project too. But there's one guy that I love, he say, as a leader, I want to lead to a place with no leader. And that's what decentralization is about. It's not increasing the ownership, but it's decreasing the ownership over time. But it cannot happen instantly, because we still need someone with the strongest vision to lead the movement, and through cycle, lose the ownership. That's why I love crypto so much, because the opposite is happening in the corporate world.
It's like the introverted triangle. Because I see New Earth is that it's rather than this, where it stops, it's at the top, it should be like this.
Yes.
And it grows infinitely.
Yes.
Because the responsibility lies on somebody who has the vision, but they're not attached to the material wealth, what comes out of that vision. Because many people lose themselves with the power that the divine gives them. They have this vision, they build it, and then they get attached to the very thing that came through to them, and that's what slowly corrupts them.
Yeah.
Because they lose themselves in that. And it looks like crypto is sort of ultimately reversing the dollar note, the eye, there's the pyramid, that's what it is. But crypto has this infinite possibilities for now.
And the beauty of the crypto is, going back to this example of the pyramid, which it's absolutely the right one, is even if you do that with a normal corporation, your finance will be like this. They will start, and with crypto, you can start with a large community of investors from day one that will make you accountable to them, rather than a very small, and then you grow the business and then you start to expand, which is not healthy, because the result of, for example, if you look at the US stock exchange, 50% of the company in the stock exchange are not profitable. They don't make money. Because of the result of VC investing, wanted to invest more and more and more, and the IPO is the exit game for them. They don't care if the company is going to work. But from the moment you build that from the very ground up with the community, you have an obligation to make it work, both financially but as well from the usage perspective, because ultimately they are the reason why you exist, right? So it's not like they are just used as exit liquidity. They are the origin of what it changed. So I think it's very fundamental to what crypto brings to the table as well, is helping people to be much more early on into the investment and the participation journey that do not happen in the traditional world. It's very closed. Yeah.
We don't accept crypto here yet. So again, we're going to this model potentially, let's say, and we join up with your company and go, all right, we'd like to take on some crypto through New Earth. And as we grow, because the whole point is to become decentralized, right? But that means energy exchange, one New Earth to the next New Earth and everything else like that. How does somebody incorporate SwissBorg, for example, into a company, into the New Earth Cafe? I mean, who else is the best example to use, right? Tell me.
So at SwissBorg, we're very community-centric, so we do exclusively individual. We do few corporates because they are friends, or there is business association, but it's not really our main business. Coinbase, for example, in the US are doing that. I know they've been helping one business and they save so much friction into the banking world. It's crazy. Like, not only they help them to save money on the financial side, but they help them as well to be more in connection with their user through cryptocurrency. So it's pretty simple. It's just a matter of technology. I know that even in Dubai, you have a company. I have a good friend of mine. He is in this business. He gives you a terminal, like the same as, and people can pay with their cards or they can pay with their cryptocurrency. And then it is your choice as a business owner. Do I want to keep the crypto, or do I want to keep the crypto? Like, do I want to exchange the crypto back to fiat currencies, or do I want to keep the crypto? Funny thing is, for example, in Switzerland, we have people that invest into our company because we have a coin. They invest at the very early days in 2017, and we have this acupuncturist is accepting our coin as a payment methodology because they say, I'm happy to always get more and more of this coin into my wallet. So it's part of this. So I think what it gives you as well when someone pays you with a crypto, you have a better understanding of who he is, because what you own as a crypto tells a little bit about who you are. That is very interesting. So what crypto can do as well is to make money intelligent and say, that's the type of individual, or that's for example, if we say at New Earth, we never want to have non-organic food, then in the perfect world, you will have your treasury that everyone can see on-chain, on the blockchain, and you cannot transfer money from a wallet that has not been approved as being an organic farm.
Then you have stamp of approval.
Yes.
Because that's ultimately, 100%, man. Like, it can only be used where the New Earth has sort of given its stamp, because it's the conscious eye, because we've seen where it's going to, the farm and everything else, and that money, that can only be used there. And for some people, that's perfect. Some may not want to do that, of course. They're still part of the old Earth, let's say. Yeah. But where the New Earth's eye has seen it going, well, this is being approved because it meets the criteria. And so that now portal opens up to accept the New Earth coin. And that's ultimately what it's about. It's not just the New Earth Cafe, of course, but it's other conscious visionaries that we come together. And suddenly, if this money, this new coin, let's say, is carrying so much weight, that fiat money is starting to lose its grip. It just is not welcome in the New Earth. And most people want to transcend to the New Earth. Then the old Earth companies don't operate anymore as well, because there's no money, energy being exchanged here anymore. So they're forced to become conscious because there's no value there anymore. And that's ultimately the game we want to play. It's transcending it. And where does it all lie? The power lies with where the attention goes, energy flows. It's energy that keeps these things running, right? Yeah. So if we can transcend that and then elevate this crypto coin, whatever we call it, that it just operates in that world, suddenly the old Earth can be left behind. I mean, is that something that could you see that being in the way?
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't think it's bad if the coin itself appreciates versus other money. I think it's part of you were mentioning Memecoin. Memecoin, you can criticize them. Of course, there is a big gambling element to it. But ultimately, this is a signal that our money, as we know it, is dying anyway. Right? Is it Bitcoin going up, or is it just the failing of the dollar and other money that happen in the world?
Trust.
Right? So,
losing trust.
It's just, last time Elon Musk was posting on his Twitter and say, I'm tired of this shitcoin / meme coin. Last one was a trillion supply, one node operator, and etc. And at the end it was the US dollar. Because 50% of the supply, the total supply of the dollar, was printed in the past 6 months. So it's unbelievable, right? So, wow, we live in a transforming era. I think we shouldn't put any limitation. Is what you need to be focused on is to enable your vision and to align your coin and whatever you do with your to align the vision with the coin and maximize its value. Not from the money perspective, from the utility perspective, and say how much this coin is aligned with, is facilitating the world I envision, the new Earth, as you say. How much is this part of this new paradigm? And then whatever it fluctuates against the old world, who cares, right? It's no one is in France, we had the franc before the euro, and no one cares about what's the franc value right now because it's part of the old reality.
It's investing for the long run,
Yeah.
because it doesn't matter how it fluctuates against the old earth, because people it's going to be hard to let go of what they've always known, the identity.
Yeah.
Imagine your identity to everything is in the old earth. It's hard you identify with Bitcoin. I identify as an actor, and it's hard to let go of becoming letting go of being an actor, because we identify to these roles so much that their significance means so much to us. So I understand that letting go of your identity, your flesh, your straw man, the body that is connected, to actually transcend the condition, the programs towards yourself, to the higher self. And how do we link energy, the currency that can be spent from that place, from your higher consciousness, with a coin that resembles that in this world here and now? And yes, it will take some time. If it can happen in my lifetime, great. If it's for the next generation, that's absolutely great. This is something I'd like to continue on for a few thousand years, till the sun becomes a supernova, because we've now transcended consciousness, the very things they've talked about biblically, that we can now actually make here on Earth now, with AI to have perimeters in place to protect from the old Earth spilling out, let's say the lower frequency, that we can keep everybody in a high frequency, and there's things in place that helps basically resolve trauma. People can elevate beyond their trauma that holds them in this body, holds them here, and then they can go about and have a purposeful life, that it's about one another. It's about, raising children, raising each other's children, because we've managed to help ourselves, and you're about to transcend.
Yes, very happily.
It's the reaction that got me. Transcending your sphere, we're going into the new earth. And so when we're stepping into that place, we would like to better community for all. I mean, what is the point? Just for ourselves? Is it just for our own family? We're sharing the world. That's it. Once we let go of the divide, separation of communities, countries, cities, and things like that, that we are all one, And I think this is what it will do to communities as we connect communities. There's no more countries anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the new earth is ultimately moving towards. There is no division. And if a coin can then connect people, because, this is what they believe in, yes, it will be the long term, but they know they're investing towards a future that they can be with. And that's ultimately what it's about. So let's see if we can make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, I think to me is, as I say, it doesn't matter if you come to Bitcoin for the speculation.
Yeah.
But if we, in the process, we help you to convert by showing you the philosophy, that's the most important. So, really in respect to what's the people journey, and if they start for the wrong reason, like maybe you met your wife and actually you were just attracted for one night. It was your initial thoughts or initial plan, but you get distracted because actually you connect to something that initially was not obvious. And I think that's what is very surprising with life is, do you give me the chance to actually change the trajectory that I initially planned into my little head, because I was so entrenched into my own vision that was very small. And that's the journey of investment. Is maybe most of the time you will come for money, because money is the biggest fear farm that exists in the world. It's hard to overcome this fear. If I attract you with fear, which means I tell you how you're going to make money with this coin, but in the process I manage to transform you into seeing the bigger picture, to me that's fine.
So that's ultimately what you're about, is pulling people in. It's not about money, it's the philosophy behind what money is about, and how we can transcend consciousness through something as simple as cryptocurrency. I say simple, but it really is still not so simple. Is there anything else you want to share regards to around your companies, around crypto, around money?
I think the last piece that wrap up a little bit what we say is the greatest benefit of cryptocurrency, it really demystify money. It demystify what banking system is, and you're so amazed when the first time you use it, you have your wallet. I have my wallet. Wallet is a simple application on your phone, and I transfer your money and instantly come. No question asked. No banker that will call you to say, "What did you use your money? Can you explain? What is?" Just it's flowing, and in the world where we exchange information so fast, we need a financial system, a financial backbone that can scale the same way, because otherwise we're always put back. Right? I'm around the table. I have this idea. People say, "I love this idea of a cafe." Why they couldn't invest instantly? I know. Let's go to the lawyer. Have this pay, and then the energy collapse goes down because everyone go back to this fear.
Money like speed.
Yeah, money like speed. An idea. That's why you see so many innovation in crypto, and that's good, because you can finance innovation like this, and it comes with a lot of scam. This week, people raise 122 million, just saying that's my wallet. Send money. I create an amazing project.
So simple as this, okay? Because I hear this, and people are getting ripped off left, right, and center, and this is just there's no negative or positive. That you have to kind of one without the other, and we've been going for our own journey of people doing the same to my wife before I met her, and we're getting out of that, figuring out that journey, and we've seen the beauty. New Earth has formed out of it. I was saying to somebody recently, when life gives you fertilizer, that is where the most beautiful things grow from. So we can complain about it or blame somebody, but then you're missing what you've been given. There, if you put a seed in it, something can grow. And the more fertilizer you've been given, the more trees you can grow, the more sustenance you can feed to communities. And through the shit that we've been given, the new earth has formed. Self-love, our store next door, has formed. Conscious products, a consciousness from it all, because of the unconsciousness. It's mirrored in some way. And part of me wants to open up this to people and go, invest in this, because here I am. This is what I want to do around the world. You're putting money in schmucks, because they said something, and then people just want to throw money. And I haven't opened that up yet, because at the same time, I want to preserve the vision I have, because I don't want people pulling it apart, because it takes a lot of work to get to a place to become so detached and to be as selfless as possible, where people, I feel like they want somebody like that in the world, where they go, can somebody build that? And not then kind of go, oh, there's money. Well, I've already gone through that transformation of having money, figuring myself out to not need it anymore. But I do need it at the same time to build this vision. And I'd love for the collective to be a part of it. So I could literally just say, open up and go, here's a coin, be involved. Is it as simple as that?
Yeah, of course. And it must be as simple as that. Because if I come to New Earth and I have an amazing dish, and I see next to my dish a QR code that says you can invest in the next cafe, why shouldn't I? Investment must be a very spontaneous. Yeah, it must be very spontaneous. And we've been taught to that, no, you need a financial advisor, you need a lawyer, things, and etc. and etc. and etc. And it just creates more and more gatekeeper to help the world to go to the direction it should go. Because ultimately you're responsible. You make your decision, your conscious decision, right? And you should go along with it. You're going to discover, because you must invest for experience that will give you as a human, regardless if you make money or not money. That's what it is.
I feel like I need to document this journey of starting this, as much as documenting everything else, that people can understand what it takes and how SwissBorg and, how behind it, of helping New Earth get to that place. I mean, it'd be quite cool.
Yeah.
Quite cool. If you're up for that experiment, cool. Changing the world, why not? One cafe at a time. You up for that?
Yeah. Cool, man.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Final question.
Yeah.
If your life was a movie, what kind of movie would it be?
I think Gladiator.
Nice. So how? What about Gladiator?
I love the journey of a soldier, that goes, fights for something, but ultimately it's all about the family, right? It's about this little moment, which is everything, where you connect with your tribe. Because we spend a lot of time out of chasing something, then it's not our tribe. We fight for someone else's desire, we fight for someone else's mission, and we got carried away. And especially when you're a man of your words and you're a man of honor, sometimes you can embrace the vision of someone else for your own. And we're all looking to go back home to some extent, right? And I think that's the aha moment, is when you go back home, and there is so much evidence about it. It's just when you get there, when you're on the right track, and that's what inspired me about the movie. The last thing that inspired me about the movie is, I think for a long period of my life and until to this day, I was very judgmental because I'm a very competitive guy, and many reasons maybe I've been educated this way. What I understand, and not fully integrated, but what I'm very conscious about is, for a movie to be entertaining, like Gladiator, you need the good guy and the bad guy. The gladiator guy, I can't remember his name, but
Marcus.
Yeah, so you have the gladiator and you have the Marcus Aurelius.
Yes.
And these two actors, they're only good because the other guy is
exactly.
The guy is as good as the other
it's
guy
relative.
is mean.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you have to accept that this is a movie, this is a theater, life is a theater, and everyone has to play his role for the movie to be entertaining. There is a God, there is a divine force looking somewhere for something that we cannot really comprehend. And for the movie to be good, you have to accept every element of it, because they can only be good because of all these elements. And you have to encourage every actor to play their own role. So when I reflect about this movie and I say how much I love the guys, because I hate the other guy somehow, right?
Yeah, you love them more because you're able to discern.
Yes.
And you know what? New Earth is about loving both sides, because we have both victim and we both have the villain. We have the hero. We have all these aspects within ourselves, and it's transcending that. It's loving the bad guy, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to see the good guy. You know, exactly. That we all have that. Like when you were judging, you could be seen as the bad guy compared to the guy who wasn't judging, right? And I've been there myself. Oh my God, you know? And I've played the villains in these different acting roles. I've played some crazy characters, you know? And it's allowed me to have these experiences to love characters that would otherwise be unlovable, you know? Hard to love. And I think that's what the journey is. How do we transcend boundaries? Is because we start to love everything and everyone for all the mischief they've caused, you know, in the past and what they may be causing now. Love will transcend that. Not carrying on the same game in that dichotomy of, you know, judging and bad and good and everything else, which is not an easy feat. So on that note, we are building something pretty big here. I've got it verbally on camera, so it's happening. But it's really been a pleasure, man. And I think we're going to have to carry on this another time, for sure.
Good pleasure. Thank you again for the invitation.
Pleasure, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for checking this out. We'd love to hear from your comments. And if you haven't already, please press subscribe and remind yourself you are worthy of love. Thank you. We vibe when you subscribe.